Catholic News Roundup is brought to you in part by PewSitter.com, your online Catholic newspaper for the third millennium, CatholicMediaCoalition.org, in line with the Church, online with the world.
And TheAmericanCatholic.com, politics and culture from a Catholic perspective.
Hello and welcome to today's edition of Catholic News Roundup. I'm Simon Rafe. 5 held over Pope terror alert. 5 men have been arrested by the Metropolitan Police in London. The arrests were made after counter-terrorism officers received intelligence of a potential threat. The men have been taken to a central London police station and searches are continuing at premises connected to the raids. The men are not British nationals and were arrested in an armed operation at business premises where searches are continuing. Residential premises in North and East London are also being searched. Officers, however, have not found any hazardous items. Now, it is not clear at this time whether the investigations relate to a plot against the Pope himself or an element of the visit. In a statement, the Metropolitan Police said, "Today's arrests were made after police received information following initial inquiries by detectives. A decision was made to arrest the 5 men. Following today's arrests, policing arrangements for the papal visit were reviewed, and we are satisfied our current policing plan remains appropriate. The itinerary has not changed. There is no change to the UK threat level." The United Kingdom's top police officers from England and Scotland spent months planning the security arrangements for Pope Benedict XVI's visit to the UK. Those plans included factors such as threat assessments, standard arrangements covering the safe transport of significant public figures, and the potential need to control crowds during the visit's major events. Now, as the story develops, we will continue to report. Abortion battle at military bases and hospitals. Taxpayer-funded abortions may soon be the order of the day at American military bases and hospitals around the globe. Although Republican senators have mounted a filibuster against the Defense Department funding bill, the Senate Armed Services Committee has already voted in favor of the amendment. If next Tuesday's Senate vote is successful, it will strike down the 1996 law prohibiting any military medical personnel from performing an abortion. Some 200 physicians have signed a petition protesting the abortion amendment to the National Defense Authorization Act, saying that it will promote the destruction of human life, threaten military readiness, and undermine morale. New Jersey vote on Planned Parenthood funding. Despite a veto by Governor Chris Christie, the New Jersey state legislature will vote on a measure to funnel some $7.5 million in taxpayer dollars into the coffers of Planned Parenthood. Christie originally vetoed the funding bill as part of a crackdown on spending in the Garden State. The largely Democratic legislature put the override into motion immediately following the governor's veto. This Monday's vote is likely to succeed because of the 30-10 Democratic voting bloc in the state Senate. Stay with us, we'll be back in just a few seconds.
Catholic News Roundup is brought to you in part by NewOxfordReview.org, the voice of Catholic Orthodoxy, in print and on the web, and RenewAmerica.com, expanding the influence of America's grassroots in the cause of freedom.
CatholicUnderground.com, the podcast about our Catholic faith and new media.
Muslims invade Egyptian monastery. Hundreds of Egyptian security officers stormed a monastery outside of Cairo using tear gas, batons, and stones to subdue the 85 monks in residence, severely injuring 3. Egyptian officials say that the monastery of St. Macarius is in a conservation area, and that the purpose of the raid was to stop construction that the monks had begun inside the monastery. A representative for the monks says that the government wants to limit the growth of the monastery because Islamic law prohibits building or repairing Christian houses of worship. Ominously, Egyptian officials have vowed to return to the monastery. And lastly, Massachusetts Mosque indoctrinating schoolchildren. A Boston area mosque, known as the Islamic Society of Boston Cultural Center, has been reported to be actively indoctrinating middle school children. An account by one mother said that some of the 6th grade boys, 2 of whom are Jewish, were seen to join Muslim men in prayer by bowing and touching their heads to the floor as teachers looked on. The field trip was arranged by an organization called Primary Source, a Watertown non-profit that is partnering with school districts across Massachusetts by setting up mosque visits and talks with Muslim clergy. Several of the mosque leaders and donors are said to have ties to radical strains of Islam, both here in the United States and abroad. I'm Simon Rafe. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure and tune in tomorrow for your daily dose of Catholic News Roundup right here on RealCatholicTV.com. And be sure to check out The Vortex today, where we'll be talking about the shock of the Vatican. That's it for now. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure and tell your friends about us, and God bless.